session 2, part B, contractions, waves and surges, and breathing. Okay, before we just look at that, I just want to very quickly go back over something that we mentioned in a previous video. We talked about the importance of the language that we use and trying to create the most relaxed environment as well for labour and birth. So I just wanted to mention that when you come in to see us, when you come into labour ward, you come into your room to labour and birth your baby, we will have the lights down dim in that room to create the best atmosphere that we possibly can. But maybe if you could bring in some little LED candles from home, that'll be a really good thing to do, just to enhance that sort of relaxed atmosphere. Also, the music that you bring in to use is really important too. The music that you use for labour has got to mean something to you. So there's no point in having a piece of music or something you've downloaded that you think that would be good for labour, I'll listen to that when I'm birthing my baby. You need to use music that you make an association with. That's because our brains are really powerful. 1/10 of your brain is the conscious mind. It's got 5 or 6 things happening in there, in that part of your brain at any one time. The rest of your brain is the subconscious. That's us, that's what makes us us, that's our habits, that's our memories. Everything is in that part of our brain. So we can tap into that subconscious part of our brain best when we're just dropping off to sleep or when we're just waking up. It's the ideal time to tap into it and make new memories. So that's why if you download something, a playlist that you think you're going to like for labour and birth, if you download that onto your phone now, and then in these weeks running up to labour and birth, if you start listening to that every night when you get into bed, when you're just going off to sleep, you begin to make the association, when I hear this music it makes me feel relaxed, and then that's the music that you bring into hospital with you to use for your labour, for your birth, whether that's in one of the rooms on delivery suite or whether that's in theatre. That music, you'll make that association that this music is the music that makes me feel relaxed. Okay, so let's move on to our contractions or our waves or our surges, whatever you want to call them. So the first thing that you're likely to feel that gives you some sort of clue that maybe labour or contractions are on their way is, to begin with, the very first thing that you feel is generally, perhaps even for a couple of days, you start to feel some backache and some periody type pain, time of the month sort of feeling. Yeah, very normal, some draggy feeling down in the groin there, that's very normal. And then often what you'll find is that starts to be accompanied by a wave sensation right down in the groin. I'm going to just kneel on my chair so I can just demo this to you a little bit better so you can see more of me. Okay, so the backache, the periody type pain, the time of the month sort of feeling, and then often that starts to be accompanied by a wave sort of feeling right down here in the groin. Yeah, some people like this they liken this sensation. It lasts about 20 seconds usually. They liken this sensation to a knot being pulled tighter and released, to a belt being pulled tighter and released. So when you start to get these sensations, these wave actions for about 20 seconds or so down there in the groin, that's maybe a bit of a clue that your contractions are beginning. That early part of labour, that preparing phase, that ripening phase of labour is beginning. The easiest way for you to understand about contractions is for me really to box them off and say every time you get one, it is an event that lasts about a minute and a half. And every time you get one, what's actually happening in your body is your womb is starting to tighten up here underneath the rib cage. It's rippling down here, right down here into the groin, ripples to a peak right down there in the groin, and then it ripples off again. You need this ripple action to make the neck of the womb open and pull up. But in the early days, when the body is preparing to go into labour, you won't feel that ripple action over the whole minute. In the beginning, you feel it down here in the groin, probably for about 20 seconds. Yeah. What's actually happening is the womb is starting to tighten up here underneath the rib cage, but because it's the mild ones, you can't feel it. So the womb starts to tighten. You can't feel it. It's getting tighter, you can't feel it. Tight, 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 you can't feel it. Then in the middle of the minute, for about 20 seconds, right down there in the groin, you can feel it. There's that knot tightening and being released. There's that belt being pulled tighter and being released. As these contractions, as these waves, as these surges, and wave, you see, is a really good way to describe it, because it's not a boom, it doesn't just happen, it starts, gets to a peak, and it wears off again. So in the beginning, down here in the groin for that 20 seconds, it is a wave-like sensation. So as they begin to get stronger, you begin to feel them over more of the minute. So now the womb begins to tighten, you can't feel it. It's getting tighter, you can't feel it. Tight, you can't feel it. Tight, you can't feel it. Tight, you can't feel it. Then about 20 seconds into the minute, at about the tummy button, you start to feel it. It's getting stronger, 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 very strong down there in the groin, and then it ripples off again. Until eventually, when you're in the active part of labour, when the neck of the womb is starting to open effectively around the baby's head, when that waking day's worth of work that we spoke about in a previous video is about to start to occur, then what you're likely to feel then is, as soon as the womb tightens, immediately you begin to feel it. Doesn't take your breath away straight away. You've probably got about 5 or 10 seconds when you're just aware of it. Then it starts to take your breath away. Now it's getting stronger, 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 very strong down in the groin, and then it ripples off again. So when I can feel that contraction, that wave, that surge over the whole womb, over the whole minute, at its strongest point down there in the groin, and taking my breath away, probably coming about every 3 to 5 minutes, lasting a minute, taking my breath away, that's when I'm likely to be in the active part of labour. Anything prior to that is the bit where the body is preparing to go into labour, and that is subject to starting and stopping. That's why people say, I was in labour for 3 days, yeah? Because this bit, the bit where the body's preparing, you know, you might feel it down here. So you've had the backache, you've had the periody type pain, and now you're feeling it down here in the groin. It's coming and going in waves, and you might feel that for a couple of hours, fairly regularly. Even you think, oh, maybe this is it, maybe this is it. And then you plod around, you have something to eat, you're plodding around doing normal things, and then you have a little sit down and think, do you know, I think it might have gone off a bit. You have you maybe you even have a bit of a sleep, you have a doze, then you wake up and have something else to eat perhaps, and you think, oh, do you know, I think it's starting up again, and it might start to become more stronger. So you might sort of feel it over more of this part of your tummy, of your abdomen. And then after a few hours, it all goes off the boil again, yeah? And it can be doing this, starting and stopping over, a couple of days. So for me, I kind of liken it, I would say, to a child learning to ride a bicycle. You know when you see parents in the park with their little ones, and they give them they're on their little bicycles, give them a little push off, and they go pedal, 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 and then they fall off. They get them back on again, and they go pedal, 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 and they fall off again. You don't know how many times they're going to be pushing them off and pedal, pedal, until they've got it, and they're the other side of the park saying, ooh, look at me. That's kind of like your womb in labour. I don't know how long it'll be starting and stopping, till it gets underway, till you're in that active part of labour, till the womb begins to tighten right up here underneath the rib cage, and immediately you feel it. It's not taking your breath away straight away. You've got about 5-10 seconds when you're just aware of it before it starts to take your breath away. Now it's getting stronger, 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 very strong down in the groin, and then it ripples off again. So if you remember in a previous video I mentioned, that's why when you phone in and you speak to the midwife on triage, why she's always really interested in where you're feeling them and how long you're feeling them for. Because lots of people will phone in and they'll say, I don't know if I'm in labour. I think I might be in labour. I can feel regular tightenings, and describing that they can feel them right down there in the groin. If you hadn't heard this, if you hadn't listened, to this video, you would think, wouldn't you, if you can feel it right down there in the groin, that must mean the baby is right down there waiting to come out into the world. Yeah, waiting to wave, it doesn't come out into the world. But actually, we now know from sharing this video, we now know that actually what you're waiting for is to feel it over the whole womb, over the whole minute, always at the strongest point down there in the groin. When you feel it just down there in the groin, that's often just the beginning. So you're waiting to feel it over more of the womb, over more of the minute, and coming about every 3 to 5 minutes, lasting a minute, taking your breath away. Okay, so that's our contractions, or our waves, or our surges. Let's think about the breathing that goes with that. When we talked about the contraction there, I said that even when you're feeling it over the whole womb, over the whole minute, doesn't take your breath away for that whole time. You've got 5 or 10 seconds at the beginning and at the end where you would have the perfect opportunity to get started on that really good breathing, so that as that contraction begins to take your breath away, you're going to be much more calm and relaxed and cope with it much better. So the breathing then. How should you breathe in labour? The most important thing in labour is to breathe, because lots of people, they breathe in, and then they hold their breath, or they pant. Yeah, when we're asleep, we breathe in and out quite naturally, but actually sometimes when we're tense, when we're anxious, when we're worried, we go. So the breathing in comes quite naturally, but we have to focus on the breathing out. Yeah, so for labour, what I want you to think about is breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and trying to make the out breath double that of the in breath. So making the out breath longer than the in breath. Please don't overthink this, because then it's not relaxing. Yeah, so don't snatch at the in breath either. Don't go. What you're trying to do is just let the in breath come in quite naturally. And that's often, for most people, probably sort of a count of 2. So you let the in breath come in quite naturally, but you're focusing on trying to breathe out through soft lips, a longer, slower out breath. So let's have a little practice of that together. So what I want you to do is just put your hand on your chest for me, and we're just going to pant. See, that's not good, yeah? But that's what lots of people do when they do this. So I want you to open your hand, and while we're opening our hand is we're imagining, just to start with, we're just breathing using our upper chest space. This is not good. This isn't a good way to breathe in labour, but if we do this first, then we'll see how when we upgrade, what a difference that makes. So put your hand on your chest, and we're going to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouths. We're going to kind of do it for the count of 2 on the way in and 2 on the way out. Yeah. So we've got a hand on the chest because we're imagining as we breathe out, we're just emptying the air from here up. Okay. So do it with me 3 times. Off we go. So. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't find that very relaxing at all, very useful. So it's what we want to really focus on is taking bigger, deeper breaths out. Yeah. Now, if someone has any back pain, any muscular pain, if you wake up in the night with cramp, you don't lie in bed and think about it. If you get up and you move around, if you've got backache, you'll often see people with backache, they lean forward and they rock from side to side to change the weight distribution from one side to the other. What it also does as well is when you're leaning upright and leaning forward, what it also does, of course, is it makes the groups of muscles that are supporting the organs of the chest and the groups of muscles that are supporting the organs of your tummy much softer. When you're leaning back or lying back, they're much more tight. So when you're upright and forward, it makes these groups of muscles that are supporting the organs of the tummy and of the chest much softer. So it enables you much more comfortably, much more naturally to do lovely, deeper, bigger breaths. So we're going to go in through the nose, out through the mouth. So I'm going to put my hand on my tummy here, my sympathy bump. So you put yours in the same place. So we're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. So we're going to go in for the count of 2 quite naturally and go out, if we can, for the count of 4. So getting rid of all the air from here up, yeah? So we're not snatching at it, we're just let the air come in naturally and breathing out slowly. So with me, off we go. So how did that feel? I'm sure that you would agree with me. When you take a longer, slower breath out, it's much more relaxing. And also, if you were to do that over a few minutes, I don't know if you even noticed with me when I was doing it, my shoulders relaxed, yeah? So it's a much, much better way of breathing. We just did in for 2, out for 4 then. That's brilliant. You could maybe, if you practiced it and got good, you could maybe go in for 3, out for 6, or in for 4, out for 8. But actually, only do what's comfortable for you, yeah? So it's, you know, in for 2, out for 4 is absolutely great as well. So with practice though, you just get better at doing the longer, slower breaths, but it just depends for each individual person what you feel most comfortable with. And for you partners, it's really important that you practice this too, because actually in labour, mum is going to be looking to you for the breathing, you know, just like when we've just done it just now. I don't suppose for a minute that you counted in for 2, out for 4. You just copied what I did, and that's what mum is going to do with that her birth support person in labour. She's going to copy what you do. So you need to practice to get those nice big breaths in, slow breaths out. And I always say to people, a good time to practice this is to practice it every day. Maybe, just maybe, in front when you're watching the telly, and unfortunately, sadly at the moment we've got lots of opportunity to do that. But if you could be do this with each ad break. So each ad break that you see when you're watching a television program, with each ad break you just do that breathing during the ad break, and then you'll get better, it becomes second nature, and you can do that easily and more confidently during labour and birth. Okay, so I think we'll stop there with this one.